Hey, on this video, we are going to create and explore our first Meteor app. And to do that, we are going to use the Meteor command line that we already installed. So you can open up your terminal, and I recommend you to create a folder to keep all the Meteor projects there. I already have one here, and I will run the command meteor create hello meteor, and this command will create the project for us, and it will also create a folder with the same name of the project. When I run it, it will generate a boilerplate code, and we will have a look at this code, and it will set all the dependencies that Meteor needs and all the tools that Meteor needs. If it's the first time that you are running, it can take a bit longer. So it's done, and we can see a few instructions here. We can just enter the created folder called Hello Meteor and run the Meteor command to start our app. Okay, so let's have a look at the code that Meteor generated for us. So I opened WebStorm and I will open the project. Mine is inside dev, Meteor projects, Hello Meteor. It is loading. Then we can see that we have a bunch of folders here and we have a bunch of files. Let's have a look at them. The first folder is .meteor, and this folder, Meteor will take care of it, so we don't need to worry much about it. We have this local folder that Meteor will keep the local data and local cache. We can have a look at this file, the packages file. This is where we keep the Meteor packages that we are using on this application. So we can see all the package that Meteor already added for us and all the versions. And we usually don't change this file manually. When you run the commands Meteor add and Meteor remove, we can add and remove packages and they will be here. So we can see that if you go to the client folder and to the main JSX file, what we are doing here is when Meteor starts up, we will render a component from React. So we are using React on this application, and it is basically a React configuration. So when the application starts, we will render this React component. And this is defined in the package.json. So another important thing to have a look is this. We have the package.json to manage our scripts and dependencies. And we also have a Meteor configuration here. We define which is the main module for the client and for the server. So we were looking just to the main JSX file, and this is the entry point on the client side. So when you start your application on the client side, main.jsx will be the first loaded file. So if we go back there, we can see that it will render the app component. And if we go to the app component, we can also click in here. We can see where this file is in our project. And we can see that it is inside the imports folder. So again, main.jsx will be loaded automatically. And then when it is loaded, we are explicitly importing another file that is inside the imports folder. So this is how we manage what we want to load at what time in Meteor. So going back there, we have this app component. It is a simple React component, and it is showing the welcome to Meteor message. If we go back to the browser, we can see it right here. And you can see that we have a reload component and an info component. We will look into them just in a few minutes. So let's go back to the package.json and have a look at the server side. On the server side, we have the main.js inside the server folder. So this is the entry point on the server side. So let's have a look at this file. And we can see that we have, again, the function Meteor startup. And we have more functionalities here. We can see that we have a links collection. So remember that we're using MongoDB. And this first function is inserting title URL created at, and this is called right here. So if you understand what Meteor is doing when we start our application, is we are trying to find a link in the database, and if we don't have any, if it's equals to 0, we will insert those links. So we are calling the function that we defined right here. So we can see that we have the do the tutorial, follow the guide, read the docs, and discussions. So Meteor is doing all of that for us. So when we run our application, we could see those links here. So how we are showing these links? Again, I will go back to the client side right now. So in the app component, we have this info component. I will open it. So I will just jump to this part. So we can see here, learn Meteor, and this is what you can see on the browser right here. And we have the links, and we are mapping a link object to a list. So we are using the link ID, the link URL, and the link title. So this is what we are presenting here. So we can see that this is not a static text. We are fetching this from the database. And how we are fetching? We have this function right here. So we are declaring a variable called links. We have this React hook. We can see that it is being imported here from a package called React Meteor Data. And inside this hook, we are fetching the links collection. So we are just using the MongoDB API to find this data. So links collection.find.fetch. We are saving this to this variable, and then we render the result right here. And how we are fetching this data? If you look at this links collection, you might think that we are fetching it from the database, directly from MongoDB, and that's not the case. If you remember, when you see on the first lesson, we saw that we have MongoDB on the server side, and on the client side, on the UI side, we have something called Minimongo. And Minimongo is a client data cache. And because this is a skeleton app, if we check the packages file, we can see that there is this auto-publish package, and it was automatically included when we created our app. And because of this package, all of the data that we have on MongoDB, and on this case, the links collection, it is published automatically to Minimongo. So we have to remember that when we are on the UI side, on the client side, and you are fetching something from a collection, we are not fetching from MongoDB, but from Minimongo instead. And in the next lessons, we are going to understand how we can choose which data we want to publish to the client side, and we will remove that auto-publish package. But for the moment, we will keep it there. We can also have a look at this file. This is a file that is inside our project. It is in the API links. So if we go to imports API links, we can see that this is basically a MongoDB collection with the name links. Okay, I will go back to the app component. So we saw the info component that is showing those links. And we also have this hello component that is basically the counter. So if you remember, we have this counter that when we click, it will increase this counter. And this is only React. We have a counter and a set counter. We are using the use state hook from React. We defined an increment function. So when we call this function, it will set the counter and increment the counter. And this is rendered in this way. We have a button. When we click in this button, we call the increment function. And right here, we are showing that counter. So just React, if you know React, this is totally fine. Okay, I will close it all. because then we can do a quick recap of the files. I will start from the package.json. So again, here we define the entry points of our application in the client and in the server. So in the client, we have client main.jsx, and this will run the app component that will render all the other components. So we can see here that we have hello Meteor, and this is the title of our application. And we didn't have to import this HTML because Meteor will load it automatically. And if we change it here, we can also see that Meteor will keep our application in sync. So I will change the title to Hello Meteor, save it. And if you go back here, oh, oops, it is not running. So I will also show you how to run from WebStorm. We have this terminal tab, and I will run Meteor again. So this is, we will start our web server, our embedded MongoDB and everything. And as I already saved this, let me refresh. And we have here, hello Meteor. But I did a refresh, and I just want to show you that Meteor will sync our code and our browser. So I will change this welcome to Meteor. I will change to hello Meteor, and I saved. We can see that Meteor is refreshing and it is updated here. Hello Meteor. And you can also see, let me click here a few times. So it is 6. I will change it back to welcome to Meteor, save it, and it is updated. And Meteor is keeping the state of our application. So it is not reloading everything. So this is really good for developer productivity because it is very fast to keep your app in sync with the code that you just changed and the application that you are seeing in your browser. Okay, so client side is fine. I will close all of the files, go back to the package.json, and see the server entry point again. So main.js, main.js. So what we are doing here, again, we are just inserting a few links because then we will be able to render them in the client side. And how do we know that we are really inserting this? We can open the NoSQL Buster to see what we have in our MongoDB database. So I will open mine from here, NoSQL Buster. And to access our database, so I'm using the free to try. To access our database, you can just go here to connect and connect from URI. And Meteor will run our MongoDB embedded, and the port is 3001. So you just have to access this way, MongoDB, localhost, and the port is 3001. I will click on connect. We can see the database here called Meteor. We can see a collection called links. I will double click. And when I did, NoSQL Buster already created a query for us. I will just remove this to avoid the noise. So we just have the blinks.find. And here we can see the data that we have in our application. So we have the do the tutorial, follow the guide, read the docs, and discussions. And just to start showing something really cool from Meteor that we talked a lot in the previous lessons, that is the real time. So let me go back to the browser and I will just do this. I will change this do the tutorial inside the database. So I will actually just do this right here. I will show you the browser and my NoSQL Buster, because then you can see updating it in real time. So let me edit do the tutorial. I will click right here with the right button and edit document. So I will just change here. So the new title will be Meteor tutorial. Okay. If I press Command Enter, it will run this query, and we can already see Meteor tutorial. So it's already updated. I will change it again because maybe you didn't see it. So I will change back to do the tutorial. Pay attention that we have here Meteor tutorial, and when I run it, it is updated automatically in the browser. So this is really cool, and we will go a bit deeper on this. We will recap everything that we saw. So stay with me because now the course will become a lot more interesting.